But Janet, why do you think it's going to be bad for women
I think
if they don't go back to the workplace?
Well, a new survey says that 9 out of 10 people actually want to continue working from home in some form, you know, flexible working, possibly staying at home 2 days a week, going into the office 3. And a lot of big businesses have already said that they're not going to force people back to work. And there are banks, there is international companies like Google and Facebook have already said that staff do not have to come back into the office. But what I would say to women is it's really tempting to think that working from home, you have the best of all worlds. You're in an environment you're familiar with, you've got your kids close at hand. If anything goes wrong, you're there to deal with it. And, you know, for a lot of people, working from home has been a plus. But I think there's another group of women for whom working from home is a big negative.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, in what way?
Well, if they're from lower income groups or they live in small, cramped surroundings, if their partner is also working from home, they'll be struggling. Plus, we all know that women do more of the housework than men, full stop. So combining that with staying at home is not a good thing. But the other thing is that when people do go back to work, it will be the men that go first. And as long as kids are still being sent home from school, and we're not sure how long that's going to happen, it certainly is going to change in the autumn, I think women are carrying a lot of extra responsibilities. And as a former boss, I can say it's the people who are in the office, the people that you notice the most are the people who do get promoted. And part of promotion is team building, networking, sucking up to the people who are in power. That's all really important. And although you might be good at doing your job from home, if you're not getting noticed, you're not going to get up the career ladder.
But then surely it's down to choice. I mean, you're right, there are some people for whom working from home is clearly a really good thing and they want to continue to do it. And there's others, I agree with you, Janet, who I think will find that it's not particularly...
Well, in the poorer income families...
They have the choice.
Especially with the school bubbles, as you say. I was talking to a children's charity in the North East. The North East has the highest poverty in the country. And it's just unbelievable what these people have going through. So Freedom Day doesn't mean very much to them because, you know, you're trapped in a tenement block with children who are being sent home to isolate because one child in the school. Often these parents are illiterate themselves, so they can't homeschool. They've lost their job because these jobs aren't kept open for people in poorer income families. You know, so
well, they're also the group that have been disproportionately affected by COVID in terms of the harms of COVID. So, I mean, as many people have said, it really has shown up the inequalities that were there in our society before and have absolutely been highlighted now. And the same goes back to work. For people who are building on a garden room, you know, so they can work from home for 2 days, etc. Yeah, it's been lovely.
But think of the mental side of this too. When you work from home and communicate with your workmates through the screen, you're not interacting, you're not having ideas, you're not bouncing ideas in the same way. You're not developing empathy because you're not kind of... It's a completely different world. It's so isolating, and I just think for a lot of women it's not good in the long run.
But Janet, could I just put forward a different perspective, perhaps? One of my sons is within a company with 150 employees, and I'm quite interested in the excuses as to why people do not want to come back to work. And it's difficult for some companies to get their employees back because there is no law that says you have to say to them, unless you're back by such and such a date, you're out. You can't do that. But, for example, one man said, well, my wife is having IVF treatment and so I want to continue being at home because I want to keep an eye on her. Another man said, well...
But is that not good, Gloria?
No, but this is true, that's true. Another man said, well, it's just I've got used now to picking the children up from school and it helps my wife out, so I'd like to continue. So the point I was going to make is that some companies are not even in their original offices because they've given up big, expensive offices and now they're saying, well, you work, Janet, from home for 3 days, come in for 2 days, but you might have to go to a movable pod. They're actually making movable pods around the city so that maybe you can go in there for an hour or two on a certain days. Well, so it's very flexible.
It's an incredible transition, but, you know, we've got to hope that we've got to take some positives out of this, and there may be some positives, and that kind of flexibility may be a positive, but not for everybody. I get it.